out there. We just say Toda for joining us.
Already.
And we appreciate you for being here. And as we continue to move forward, we just thank the Father for another day that He's made. So I decided I did a short version. This would be, I wanted to do just scratch a little bit more of the surface of the patience of Elohim or Alahiym, because sometimes we don't realize just how patient He has been, and this is one of the characteristics that He is requiring us to have if we say we're going to be more like Him. Okay, so that's why I just wanted to just go over a few things. It won't be a long lesson, but hopefully it'll be insightful. And Toda to Simone for let me know he could hear, or Simon, let me know you could hear loud and clear. Appreciate that, Toda Rabbah. So let's get to rocking and rolling. Let's pray. Baruch Hashem Yahuwah Elohim Melech Haolam. Father, thank you for another Shabbat you've made. We ask you, Father, give us strength, give us courage, give us all the things you've made and done for us. Help us to understand this lesson and help us to see patience or long-suffering from your point of view. Father, we say Toda Rabbah. Help us to be more like you in the name of Yahushua. Alahiym Yahuah. Amen. Alrighty, so let's look here. See what we're working with. So what I thought I would do, we'll just start it off with a passage from Exodus 34 verse 1. And this is after, because remember, the first original set of stones that were hewed by YAHUAH Alahiym or Elohim, Moses broke them at the base of the mount when the children of Israel were worshiping the calf. So this is another set. So this attests to His long suffering and His patience. And He's one that keeps His promise. Okay, so let's look here. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first. Okay, so you see the first were destroyed. So anyone that says that He didn't have mercy and grace and favor in the Old Testament or commonly called the Tanakh or Hebrew Scriptures, they need to go and reread again. And I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tablets, which were broken, which thou breakest. And be ready in the morning, and come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai, and present thyself there to me in the top of the mount. And no man shall come up with thee, neither let any man be seen throughout all the mount. Neither let your flocks or your herds feed before the mount. And he hewed 2 tablets of stone like unto the first. And Moshe rose up early in the morning and went up to Mount Sinai, as Yahuwah had commanded him, and took in his hand the 2 tablets of stone. So we see here he's following the instructions, and the Father's going to give him the tablets again. He's going to write on the ones that Moses hewed out. Now, I want you to pay attention to this, the language here. Okay. And Yahuwah descended in the cloud and stood before him there and proclaimed the name of Yahuwah. Okay, so You have to, when we're reading this, he's proclaiming the name of Yahuwah. So, who was this that descended in the cloud and proclaimed the name of Yahuwah? Let's keep reading. And Yahuwah passed by before him and proclaimed Yahuwah. Then it says Yahuwah El or Al. Interesting. So could this possibly be the messenger of Yahuwah proclaiming, because remember, he went by the name Yahuwah too, proclaiming Yahuwah's name. And then it's mentioned Yahuwah Al, merciful and gracious, long suffering. We're going to talk about that in a second. And abundant in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands and forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the third and to the fourth generation. And Moshe made haste and bowed his head toward the earth and worshiped. So, we're going to look at here long suffering. But it's a little different in the Hebrew. They usually put these two words together. Arek and off. Okay, arek means long, patient, slow to anger. It comes from arak, which is the root word. Now, off is the nostrils. So why would they put these two together? Okay, the picture you have to see. When a person is angry, that anger is expressed through the nose. Okay? The anger is expressed through the nose. Hence, notice what it says, from the rapid breathing and passion. So hence, when a person is angry or upset, that nose becomes hot like fire. So in other words, it's saying that he's long suffering. He's slow to anger. And it doesn't show on his face. His nostrils doesn't reflect it. Now, one thing that I wanted to do, I just wanted to kind of give you now, when we're dealing with word pictures, some word pictures are very on point. But this one might have a little, you can have a little variance or what I would call wiggle room. Okay, now we know that when we talk about a rake, that we're dealing with an olive here, a resh, and that's a cough. It's a final cough. Since it comes at the end of the word. So it's a final cough. So we're talking about an ox, a head, and a palm, or the hollow of your hand. So what I get out of this, and you might get something a little different, but it's all going to be in the same ballpark. A strong cover first. So in other words, when we talk long suffering and patience, it's a strong cover because you're enduring something. So you're covering that person until they're at a point where, okay, you should have gotten this by now. It's just like a child. When a child is growing, your first responsibility is to teach the child. Okay, you can't punish the child if you haven't taught the child, But once you teach the child and the child understands and knows what right from wrong is, now the punishments come in. And even with the punishments can are tailored towards what they did. So, it's not just an all out like our system here in the US, where a person that does one crime, they don't get as much time, but if somebody that did a harsher crime might get less time. So, it's the difference between cocaine and crack. If you caught with crack, you're going to get a much harder sentence than if you were caught selling cocaine. That's just a demo. So I want to read Numbers 14. And what I want you to pay attention to is, remember, we're looking for the long suffering of Yahuwah. How long did Yahuwah suffer with our forefathers? How long has Yahuwah been long suffering and patient with us? This is what we're looking for. Because we're claiming now, if we're going to be echad with him in the Mashiach, we have to exhibit his characteristics. Okay? So let's go over to Numbers 14. And what I'll do, I'll pull up another window because I don't want to. No. I'll use that, and we'll go to Numbers 14. Okay, now I just have the Septuagint here side by side, just so you can see it. It shouldn't be too much of a variation in this one. But I think I'll read from the Septuagint. Just do something a little different. And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept all that night, and all the children of Israel murmured against Moses or Moshe and Aharon, and all the congregation said to them, would we had died in the land of Egypt, or in this wilderness? Would we had died? And why does Yahuwah bring us into the land to fall into war? Our wives and our children shall be a prey. Now then, it is better to return to Egypt. So they want to go back to bondage. Now, this is the type people that the father had to put up with. And they said one to another, let us make a ruler and return to Mitzrayim or Egypt. And Moshe and Aharon fell upon their face before the congregation of the children of Israel, or Yashrael. But Yahushua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Yephonah, of the number of them that spied out the land, rent their garments, and spake to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we surveyed is indeed exceedingly good. If Yahuwah chose us, he will bring us into this land and give it us, a land which flows with milk and honey. Okay? Only depart not from Yahuwah. Fear you not the people of the land, for they are meat for us. For the season of prosperity is departed from them. But Yahuwah is among us. fear them not. Okay, now this is what they're what the two Caleb and Yahushua is telling them, commonly called Joshua. And all the congregation bade stone them with stones. And the esteem of Yahuwah appeared in the cloud on the tabernacle of witness to all the children of Yashrael. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, how long, listen to this. This is what I need you to see. How long does this people provoke me? How long do they provoke him? I just wanted to see how long will this people provoke me. Now, here it says provoke. Now, it's when you come over, we'll look it up real quick. To scorn. See, not ots. To abhor, blaspheme, contempt. So they really, excuse me, this people were something else. They really despised him, to put it lightly. And how long do they refuse to believe me for all the signs which I have wrought among them? I will smite them with death and destroy them, and I will make of thee and of thy father's house a great nation, and much greater than this. And Moshe said to Yahuwah, so Mitzrayim shall hear, for thou hast brought up this people from them by thy might. Moreover, all the dwellers upon this land have heard that thou art Yahuwah in the midst of this people, who, O Yahuwah, art seen by them face to face, and thy cloud rests upon them, and thou goest before them by day in a pillar of cloud, by night in a pillar of fire. If thou destroy this nation as one man, then all the nations that have heard thy name shall speak, saying, because Yahuwah could not bring this people into the land which he swore to them, he has overthrown them in the wilderness. And now, O Yahuwah, let thy strength be exalted, as thou spakest, saying, Yahuwah is long suffering. Okay, that's our long suffering right there. See it right there? But notice it uses both words. You look down at the bottom. It's going to use a rake off. So it's going to those are going to come together. So you're going to see this when you're talking about long suffering. Yahuwah is long suffering. He's patient and merciful and true, removing iniquities, transgression, iniquity, and sin. Now, if you haven't been following, Moreh Lamar Yahu's doing an excellent lesson on these three things that we need to focus on. Transgression, well, actually, he's going to list them as sin, transgression, and iniquities. So if you want to know more about those, check out his YouTube page. That's thepathtoyahuah.com. So he's removing transgressions and iniquity and sins. And he will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the sin of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation. Forgive this people their sins according to thy great mercy, as thou wast favorable to them from Egypt until now. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, I am gracious to them according to thy word. But as I liveth and my name is living, so the esteem of Yahuwah shall fill all the earth. For all the men who see my esteem and the signs which I wrought in Mitzrayim in the wilderness, and have tempted me, listen to this 10th time, and have not hearkened to my voice. Did I read that correctly? We can even read it over here in the King James to see it's saying pretty much the same. Because all these men which have seen my esteem and my miracles, which I did in Mitzrayim and in the wilderness, have tempted me now these 10 times and have not hearkened to my voice. Now, I want you to know and see 10 times at this point they've tempted him. They provoked him. They tried him. They tested him. Look at that. Nasa, to test, by implications, to attempt. So they are out here in the wilderness. Now, see, I want you to see, what I'm trying to get you to see is just how patient and long-suffering the Father is, that he was with our forefathers. They got chance after chance after chance. And what happened? And see, once you reach a certain level, you go from sin to transgression to iniquity. Once you reach a certain level, that's why he always talked about their uncircumcised hearts. Once you reach a certain level, it's like, okay, you're not going to change. So he takes action. But up until that point, he's long-suffering. He's patient, because he wanted to destroy them a couple of times. Now, you got to ask yourself, and this should cause some of us to worship. Some of us won't worship because we don't grasp it yet, just how patient he has been with us. As for me, I get it. I see it. I understand it. Through growing up, coming through Christianity and all the ambiances of that, him just allowing me to see this truth. He could have snubbed me out before then, but he didn't. Him allowing me to see this truth. Then once I saw it, my heart wasn't hardened. I listened for his voice, and I followed his voice. From there to being getting immersed, to getting the circumcision of the flesh, from changing all my ways. All the things I used to keep, Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, all those things. Now he's giving me knowledge. And I'm like, okay, Father, thank you. You were so long suffering. And sometimes we forget where we come from And what, and we're so quick to jump on others, when they first come in the walk, throwing requirements on them when we don't remember how patient the Father was with us in our journey. So let's keep reading. I just want to read that 22nd verse again. For all the men who see my esteem and the signs which I wrought in Mitzrayim and in the wilderness, and have tempted me this 10th time, and have not hearkened to my voice, surely they should not see the land which I have sworn to their fathers, but their children which are with me here, as many as know not good or evil, every inexperienced youth, to them will I give the land. Now, I think this is pretty interesting, what it says, but to their children which are here with me, as many as know not good or evil. That kind of brings me back to the garden scene. But my servant Caleb, because there was another spirit in him, he followed me. I will bring him into the land into which he entered, and his seed shall inherit it. But Amalek and the Canaanites dwell in the valley. Tomorrow turn and depart for the wilderness by the way of the Reed Sea. Okay, so, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and Aharon, saying, how long shall I endure this wicked congregation? I have heard their murmuring against me, even the murmuring of the children of Yasrael, which they have murmured concerning you. Say to them, as long as I live, saith Yahuwah, surely as you spake into my ear, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness, and all of those of you which were reviewed, those of you which were numbered with the 20 years and upward, all that murmured against me, you shall not enter into the land for which I stretch out my hand to establish you upon, except only Caleb the son of Yephuneh and Yahushua the son of Nun, and your little ones who you say shall be prey. Then will I bring into the land, and they shall inherit the land which you rejected. And your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and your sons shall be fed in the wilderness 40 years, and they shall bear your fornication, and your carcasses be consumed in the wilderness, according to the number of days during which you spied the land 40 days, a day for a year. You shall bear your sins 40 years, and you shall know my furious anger. Now, it's interesting to note that he didn't just kill them off right then, but they all died in the wilderness, even Moshe. But he had been so long suffering with them. I, Yahuwah, has spoken. Surely will I do this to this evil congregation that has risen up together against me. In this wilderness they shall be utterly consumed, and there they shall die. And the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, and they came and murmured against it to the assembly, so as to bring out evil words concerning the land. So what I want you to get here. This is the 10th time. And the 10th time was it. Judgment came. So you can rest assured he's long suffering. But I'm telling you, don't push it. Don't push it, because eventually judgment will come. But he's very long suffering. Because he could have just wiped them out and built a whole new nation from Moshe. But he didn't do that. He said, your children, which you said were going to be a prey, I'm going to give the land to them. They're going to possess it. So he is very long-suffering, Miss Bakah. He's even been long-suffering with us. This is a part of his character. Now, I want to look at the little of the Greek, just so you could, get your feet wet. Just so you can, they're basically 3 Greek words. Maroth Oma. Then there's Maroth Mia. Then this is a combination, Maroth Mos. Okay, and all of them have to do with, as you can see here, to be long-spirited, forbearing. Okay, so what I wanted to do is just go a few places with you, just to show it to you, so that you can see it for yourself, how it works. So what we'll do first, we'll just look at the we'll look at some of the places that this word is in the Septuagint, in the Tanakh. We'll look at the Septuagint to see. So I think this is, kind of lets you see some other places. So let's go back over. Okay, and first place we're going to go is Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 30. Okay, and it says here, yet many years dost thou forbear them, testifiest against them by the Spirit in thy prophets. Yea, will they not give ear? Therefore givest thou them into the hands of the people of the land. So this right here, this forbear or bear long, that's our first word, Greek word. Okay, then in Job, and notice that this is a part of our history. For I shall not live forever, that I shall patiently endure. Depart from me, for my life is in vain. Patiently. So I'm just showing you some of the ways that it's translated in the Septuagint. A merciful man is long suffering. Now I kind of like how the Septuagint puts it. And his triumph overtakes transgressors. Now this is what the King James says. The discretion of a man deferreth his anger. It is his esteem to pass over transgression. But when you read the LXX right here, this instantly resonates. A merciful man is long suffering. That's your word right there. Long suffering. Okay, so that was Maroth Ummah. Marath Ummah. Okay, long spirited. Now we'll read this in a little bit. Okay, now for Rath Umi, we're going to go to a few places. Just to see how it looked. And because remember, these were when they translated the Hebrew over into the Greek, these are the places where our word long suffering or patience was. So this gives us an idea of how it worked or how it was translated. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's go to Proverbs 25, verse 15. Okay, I'll read it in the King James first. By long forbearing is a prince persuaded, and a soft tongue breaketh the bone. In long suffering is prosperity to kings, and a soft tongue breaks the bones. In long suffering is the prosperity to kings. Okay, then Isaiah 57:15. Okay, King James. For thou sayest the high and lofty one that inhabits eternity, whose name is set apart, or Kadosh. I dwell in the high and Kadosh place with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite one. Okay, now we're gonna read this over in the read it over in the Septuagint to see how they translate it. Thus saith the Most High, who dwelleth on high forever. Set apart in the Kadashim, or set apart, is his name. The Most High resting in the Kadashim, or set apart places, and giving patience to the faint-hearted. So that's where it is right there. And giving life to the brokenhearted. Okay, and then we got one other place we're going to look, Jeremiah 15:15. O Yahuwah, thou knowest, remember me and visit me. Revenge me of my persecutors. Take me not away in thy long suffering. Okay, see, there's our off Rach. Know that for thy sake I have suffered rebuke. Okay, now here's the Septuagint. O Yahuwah, remember me, visit me, and vindicate me before them that persecute me. Do not bear long with them. Know how I have met with reproach for thy sake, for those who set at naught thy words. Okay, bear long. That's where we get it from. Okay, then we got one other place that we'll look at, but we'll check that out on the end. And that's the Mero'u Mos. Okay, which is Acts 26 verse 3. So let's go back over here to our scriptures here. Now, what I wanted to do, okay, this is our first word here. Now I'll pull it up just so you can see it in the Greek. I wanted you to show, that's why I showed you some places in the Septuagint. Now we're going to come over to the Brit Hadashah and look at some places where it talks about this same long-spirited, which is Marou Ma. Okay, this one we'll save these two because we're going to read that at the end. And shall not Alahiym avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them. Okay, now notice it talks about when Shaul talks in 1 Corinthians 13, talks about charity suffereth long. So real love is patience. Okay, it suffereth long. It's long-spirited. 1 Thessalonians 5:14. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient toward all men. Okay. Then we got Hebrews 6:15. And let me make this a little bigger so you can see it. Just thought about that. And so after he had patiently endured, he obtained the promise. Okay, now notice here in James, or Yaakov 5:7, be patient therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the sovereign. Behold, the husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth, and has long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain. Be ye you also patient. Establish your heart, for the coming of Alahiym draweth nigh. Then our last one, and I always love this one. YAHUAH is not slack concerning his promises, as some men count slackness, but is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. And this right here, we saw they tempted him how many times in the wilderness? 10 times. Okay, now we come over here. Let's look at this long suffering. All these words are in the same category. This is the Greek. Okay, Marou Mi. Okay, and we'll read a couple of verses. Won't go through all of them. And let me enlarge it so you can see it. Okay. Or despisest thou the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long suffering, not knowing that the goodness of Elohim leadeth thee to repentance? This sounds like what they did in the wilderness. They despised his goodness, his long suffering, his forbearance. What if Alahiym, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction? By pureness, by knowledge, by long suffering, by kindness, by the Ruach HaKodesh, by love unfervent. Here's one of you say you have the fruit of the Spirit, right? Or the Ruach. But the fruit of the Ruach is love, joy, peace or shalom, long suffering. It's our word. We got it from the Septuagint. It's talking about long suffering. With all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering and forbearing one another in love. It's talking about how we deal with one another. Strengthened with all might according to his esteemed power unto all patience and long suffering with joyfulness. Now I like this one in Corinthians 3:12. Put on therefore as the elect of Alahiym, set apart and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering. 1 Timothy 1:16. Howbeit, for this cause I obtained mercy, that in me first YAHUAH HaMashiach might show forth all long suffering for a pattern to them which should hereafter believe on him to everlasting life. So you can see that this is definitely something that we need. Hebrews 6:12, that ye be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promise. So through faith and patience, you inherit the promise. So if you think you're going to get in this and make it into the kingdom without some patience, some long suffering, it ain't happening. James 5:10, take my brethren, the prophets, who had spoken in the name of Yahuwah, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Wow. Listen to this, 1 Peter 3, verse 20. Which sometimes were disobedient, when once the long suffering of Alahiym waited in the days of Noah, or Noach, while the ark was preparing, wherein few, that is 8 souls, were saved by water. Now, isn't this something? And we'll read the last one here. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. And the account that the long suffering of our sovereign is salvation, even as our beloved brethren Paul, also according to the wisdom given to him, has written to you. So you can see this long suffering is definitely important. And this is the one from the last one that was G31:15, which is, I'll put right here, which is Maroth Mos, which is basically with long suffering, long temperance, enduring temper. In Acts 26, verse 3. Especially because I know thee to be an expert in all customs and questions which are among the Yahudim. Wherefore I beseech thee to hear me patiently. Okay, so you can see that patience is definitely something that's very important in the kingdom. Now, what I want to do, we got one last thing we're going to read. But, as I was reading, as usual, sometimes you come up with a side note. So we're going to read this last thing in Matthew, or Matthew 18, verse 21 through 35. And I want you to focus on patience and long suffering. Are you patient and long suffering? Is it an area that you need to address? You know, it's really what I'm after. But before we go there, I want to show you something, because I don't think a lot of this is being exemplified, you know, when it comes to people that claim themselves to be Israel or Yisrael. And that's verse 15 through 17. It says, moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go tell him his fault between thee and him alone. Now, here we have it. It didn't say go tell everybody else in the assembly. It didn't say get on the phone and gossip. It didn't say go tell other folks you know. It said go tell him his fault between you and him alone. Okay, that's your first step. Then it says, if he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. If he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the assembly. But if he neglect to hear the assembly, let him be unto thee as a heathen man or publican. Okay? So I just read that because I think, you know, sometimes when it comes to our process or how we deal with folks that have offended us, we don't do what we're supposed to. We don't go to them. We let it sit there and fester, and that's not what we're told to do by Mashiach. So I want you to see this long-suffering parable, and I want you to pull out of this what part of this will make you better, help your life. Okay, Matthew 18, verse 21. Then came Kepha to him and said, Sovereign, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? And Yahushua said unto him, I say unto thee, unto 7 times, but unto 70 times 7. Therefore the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him which owed him 10,000 talents. But for as much as he had not to pay, his sovereign commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children, and all that he had, in payment to be made. The servant fell therefore down and worshipped him, saying, Sovereign, have patience. That's our word right there. That is our word. Maroth Umah. Long spirit, forbearance. With me, and I will pay thee all. Then the sovereign of the servant was moved with compassion, loosed him, forgave him the debt. But the same servant went out, found one of his fellow servants which owed him 100 pence. He didn't even owe him the same amount. It was a far lesser amount than he owed to the king. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that thou owest. His fellow servant fell down at his feet, besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorrowful, and came and told unto their sovereign all that was done. And when his sovereign, after that he had called him, said unto him, O thou wicked servant. So what makes this servant wicked? He didn't show the same mercy that was showed to him. I wonder if this has come across our table where we didn't show the same mercy that the Father has shown to us, to others. But I'm going to leave that for you to think about. I forgave thee all that debt, because thou desirest me. Shouldest not thou also have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? His sovereign was wroth, and delivered him to the tormentors, till he should pay all that was due unto him. So likewise my heavenly Father shall do unto you. Listen to this. If you from your heart forgive not every one his brother their trespasses. Now notice the key element in here was when they forgave the trespasses, there was an element of repentance there. And that was there. You are supposed to forgive. This is all about patience and long suffering. And that's where we want to be. Hallelujah. So what I want to do, I want to do a prayer of thanksgiving for his patience and for his long suffering. Because he is good. He is good. Oh, give thanks unto YAHUAH, for he is good. He is good. Father, we thank you for your tender mercy, for your long suffering, your patience that you have exhibited towards us. It reaches beyond the scope of what we can even imagine. Because, Father, when we weren't even thinking about this walk, you were merciful. You were patient with us. You were long suffering. Father, our hearts cry out and say, Toda Reba, thank you very much, Father, for your long suffering towards us. Now I pray, Father, that we will act in that same ruach, be long suffering towards others. Knowing that, Father, we are exhibiting a characteristic of you. Now, Father, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you many times over. More than I could ever say or mention. From the heart, we say thank you for your love and kindness, for your patience towards us. We give you praise, we give you honor, we give you esteem. We weren't deserving, we weren't worthy of it, Father. There was nothing that we did to deserve your long suffering. Even our forefathers tempted you those 10 times in the wilderness. They weren't deserving of your long patience. And all we can say is thank you, Father, and bow down and humble ourselves before you, because we are unworthy, we are undeserving. But know this, Father, we appreciate it. And we're not going to murmur or despise your long suffering. Father, continue to strengthen us. Help us to see and understand all of your goodness. In the name of Mashiach, Yahushua, Hallel to Yahuwah. Amen. Now, if you would like to contact me, you can do that by emailing me at info@living-branch.org. Now, this is just a reminder, to help our children. Our children need to have something righteous before them, pictures that they can understand and you can explain to them and show them. Start to instill these 10 commandments in them. And same thing for the Hebrew Passover story. They need to know it. Now, if you haven't joined our bookmarker witnessing team, you can visit our website, www.bm.hebrewfoundation.org. And I'll get those bookmarkers out to you. We are all caught up. We had a lot to send out this week, and we sent them out. So if you haven't gotten your bookmarkers, they should be arriving very soon. And if you would like to make a donation to us to help us in our efforts, bookmarking and broadcast and other things that we do, here's our mailing address. Here's our PayPal account. And this right here is our online giving tool, which you'll come to this page. So today we just kind of wanted to illustrate and just give you because if I start going through we'd be in a lesson all day talking about his patience and his long suffering. From the garden, even before the garden. Look at Hasatan. Look at all the Melachim that have fallen. And they're still around because judgment is going to come. And I want to make sure that we are all in line for judgment. That we want to be on the side where we're getting a blessing and not a curse. Because judgment is coming. And we have to make sure we're ready. And that we're doing what the Father requires of us. So make sure, examine yourself. It's so easy to point the finger at others. Now it's time to start to look at ourselves and see, how's your patience level? I asked this in the last short video. Where's your patience? You short-tempered, everybody get on your nerves. You got to ask yourself these things. Because we want the Father to be patient with us and long-suffering with us. But Father knows we don't want to be long-suffering with others. So we definitely need to examine this and see if this characteristic is in our life and being exhibited wholeheartedly. And not be stuck in the middle, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I suck at this, and 10 being I'm doing very great, 5 being mediocre. We need to make sure that we're, not stuck in the middle. We want to get to the 8s, 9s, and improve ourselves. Because that's what it's all about, growing closer to Him. Because the closer you get to Him, the more you should be like Him. All right, Miss Bakar, this is Midad Yahu Ben Yashriel saying, hey, have a great set apart day. And make sure you tune in at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the lesson Moreh Lamont Yahu will be going over today. It's been a great series. See, we're just not about promoting ourselves. We're about helping the body as a whole. So I have no problem with people going over and watching his lessons. As a matter of fact, I will be sitting right there listening to the lesson myself and being fed. Because, I'm one, to always give, and never be fed is not healthy. So I'll be right there absorbing the lesson with you. So make sure